Mishmash! Kitbash Corner!
Hey, today we're bringing back the Sons of Medusa Army project with a brand new character model. Now, I've actually built quite a few character models for this army, however, I actually haven't painted any, and this time around I wanted to do something a little bit more traditional. Now, plenty of you in the audience might be too young to remember this movie, but the Ultramarines film is actually something I have quite a lot of reverence for, even if all the Space Marines look like that mushy-headed Pixar baby. However, something John Hurt...
One heretics!
It hypes me the fuck up. Chaplains are one of the best part of the setting. And in this episode, I'm going to be kitbashing a chaplain using some awesome bits from Tortuga Bay. I'll also be painting him up and generally just yapping about the army project. But before we get into all that good stuff, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, share with a friend, and if you really dig it, consider becoming a channel member. Channel members generally just kind of keep this operation running, as this is my job, so you get access to all kinds of cool little things and bits and bobs, extra videos, extra streams, and generally you just allow me to do what I love most. Huge thank you to the channel members, you guys are amazing. But if you want to help me further, as well as help yourself to amazing hobby products, all of which I utilize on the channel, be sure to use my affiliate links in the description to Wargames Atlantic, Galiri Airbrushes, Golden Maple, and Strange Plastic. But enough of the promotional stuff. Let's talk about the Sons of Medusa a little bit. I'm just going to be a little indulgent and talk about the Sons of Medusa and how this figure will kind of line up with the army. Unlike their parent chapter, the Iron Hands, the Sons of Medusa do not actually utilize Iron Fathers in place of chaplains. It's even been directly stated that they do utilize them, and I think it's interesting purely because of their already complex history with the Codex Astartes. I know I kind of regurgitate the Sons of Medusa lore every time I do an episode, but I'm kind of infrequent with these videos, so whatever. But since the Sons of Medusa are known for bending the rules of utilizing xenotechnology through tech exorcisms, as well as practicing the very illegal religion of the Moirai prophecy, one would think that they might not actually utilize chaplains altogether. But with the evidence, it seems that they do. And you know what, I think that actually makes a lot of sense. At the end of the day, what I like about the Sons of Medusa is, despite essentially acting like a renegade, they have done everything in their power to prove that they are loyal to the Imperium. But have also been allowed to do so by the High Lords of Terra rather than just being blown to bits, and they've kind of taken up a pseudo-Minotaur's role. Maybe not nearly for the same love of the game energy, although, I don't know, that's a good opportunity to steal shit. Hell, it's why they were utilized so well in the Bad Ab War. But more to the point, the Moirai Creed proving that the Emperor and the Omnissiah are one actually makes a lot of sense for the Sons of Medusa to use chaplains. More than any other Iron Hand successor, in my opinion. Though you would probably think that they would just have a very simple in-between, much like the Silver Skull's prognosticators being librarian chaplains. I guess more so with Tech Marine chaplains, which the Iron Hands have. Oh Christ, never mind. Let's just get into kitbashing. To begin kitbashing the chaplain, I'll be gluing together this unique set of legs and torso to form a rather robust pose for the figure. Since these bits are not plastic, I'll be using super glue for this. After applying a decent amount of super glue to the underside of the torso, I'd fit the pieces together, but I don't think I used enough. I don't think I used enough super glue for this part. Like, I don't think there's enough super glue. Yeah. Anyway, after fitting the pieces together, I finally found a use for a bit that I've been saving for quite some time. This being the power pack from Enoch Sorlock from Kill Team Cassius. And if you guys recall, I ended up actually kitbashing this guy into my apothecary. However, I wanted to save this bit for something really heroic. I would have used it with my company command. However, I was either going to use this for a Space Marine captain, or, in this case, the chaplain. And I think it fits a little bit better with a chaplain, to be honest. With a little bit of super glue, it fits in place just fine, and again, already this guy is looking perfect for a Sons of Medusa or Iron Hands character. However, to arm him in two senses, I decided to utilize this robotic arm from the Red Corsairs kit. You might be noticing something a little bit off-putting with this if you're familiar with the rest of the series, but we'll get into that. However, for his helmet, I decided to use Garyon the Corpse Master's helmet from the Masters of the Maelstrom kit, because at this point I've been waiting to use this for something, and why not a chaplain? I almost didn't want to use this bit because goddamn everybody's using it for their kit bashes nowadays, just because it's such a good bit, and especially utilizing it for a loyalist marine. Yeah, they're loyalists. They're loyalists at this point. But I'm yapping too much. I went a little too fast with the footage. For his more decorative pauldron, I decided to use one from Astaroth the Grim, this being a skull-adorned pauldron that is very fitting for a chaplain. Might be asking why I'm using such a unique bit from a rather expensive figure. Well, it's a future kit bash. Keep your eyes peeled like a carrot. And since for some reason I was moving 1,000 miles an hour in the footage here, I decided to size up another bit for his offhand, this being the Blood Angel's Chainsword upgrade arm. I like this bit in particular because of the wrapped up purity seal and the overall length and pose. However, I did need to sand down the purity seal of the little blood drip, and I would clean it up using some Tamiya. However, I didn't want to give him a chainsword because, well, he's a chaplain, he's a Crozius. So I began snipping away at the chainsword, and thankfully the way it's sculpted on, it was super easy to use my Wargames Atlantic clippers to just snip away in little increments. Now it sounds like promotion, but at the same time, you guys ask me in the comments all the time where these are from. Use that affiliate link. However, after prepping the hand and snipping away the excess detail, I began to Dremel out the inside of the hand as well as the rest of the handle of the chainsword so I could fit in his new weapon. Or rather, the pins for his new weapon. I probably should have just used my Dremel the normal way, but instead I decided to get lazy and just put it on the lowest setting so I wouldn't melt away the plastic. However, speaking of Blood Angels bits, I ended up using the Crozius from the Blood Angels Jump Chaplain that I had in my army years ago. Blood Angels were my first army, and I've actually been cannibalizing this guy in particular for ages now, so why not just slice off his Crozius, slice off the blood symbols, and just call it a day. And also for no reason not strip the old paint off. Once I had sliced off all the details I didn't want on the Crozius, I decided to dryly fit it into place to make sure that it would actually look good on the arm. However, I did want to give this a handle, and rather than just going with a very simple design, mostly just kind of equating it to a mace, I decided to take the bottom half of this power maul from the Horus Heresy Mark II Praetor kit. I was honestly just considering taking this bit and mounting the Crozius onto this, which probably would have looked fine, however, it's got a right hand, so that wouldn't really work. But once the handle and the Crozius were ready, I decided to kind of drill out the inside using my hobby knife, and then very gently drill out the rest using the Dremel. Once there was a good amount of space that was cleared out, I would then begin sizing up a piece of paper clip to mount both pieces inside the hand. I really wanted to make sure that these would fit properly, so I didn't add any super glue until I was ready to actually glue them together. However, this is a little ironic because, you'll see. Once I was happy with the top half, I added a little bit of super glue, and it looks pretty good. A little jank, but good. However, once I added the bottom half, these are not aligned. These are not aligned at all. And I tried to fix this by slightly carving out a little bit of the hand, and I would try to gently nudge in the handle a little bit more so it would look a little bit more on center. It's still not 100% there, but it looks fine enough that if you were on the tabletop, it wouldn't really bother you. Normally this would bug the shit out of me, but it's so marginal that I don't think anybody would really care unless you're a total fuss budget. Also, I decided the Crozius did look a little too tall, so I gave it a little trim and now it is more like the traditional mace-sized Crozius. However, I do like that there's a lot more extra room and padding for this to actually be a two-handed weapon rather than just a traditional one-handed Crozius. And it looks pretty damn ornate, and it makes sense for Sons of Medusa. It did take a little bit for this to actually fit into place properly, but it was worth the effort. It does look a little jank, I will admit that. However, my Sons of Medusa's paint scheme is a little grimdark, so I think it works just fine. But with the Crozius finished, I decided to move on to a little bit more flair to this guy. I decided to give him one of the cloaks from the Red Corsairs Raiders kit, and I think this is perfectly fitting because, for one, I don't feel like sculpting a bunch of robes and cloaks, nor a loincloth, so this is a cheap, easy way to add a little bit of extra waviness to the model. With that attached, he looks really good. However, there's something that I mentioned earlier that's still bugging me. If you've kept up with the series, you'll notice by this point, I decided to use a bit that I used in my last episode. What a hack I am. And it's even funnier that my standard bearer was actually originally kitbashed using a Deathwatch bolt gun. So I rather haphazardly clipped off the hand, and in a total switcheroo, you guessed it, I decided to use a Deathwatch bolt gun. This is fine. I'm okay with this. Part of me kind of wishes I kept the bolt pistol on this guy and the bolt gun on the other dude. However, I still think this is a good workaround, and on top of everything else, it doesn't really detract from the figure in my opinion. I did end up having to use a little bit of sprue goo for this because of how haphazardly I clipped things away, and I decided to use a little bit to clear up the Inquisition symbol, but once it's in place, it looks pretty damn good, all things considered. Also, for a final bit that I kind of fit on off screen, I just ended up using a Mark 7 bit so I could fit the Sons of Medusa logo somewhere. I was going to use the Deathwatch Sons of Medusa logo, but I couldn't find it, so I figured it'd just be fine to add a decal. But with him all kit bashed up, this guy was ready for the painting. Now, after priming the model using German Panzer Grey and giving it a nice overcoat of black from AK Interactive, I decided to get pretty messy with my highlights almost immediately by mixing together a little bit of the black, as well as a little bit of light white blue from Proacryl. Essentially, I would make very thick highlights and simply clean up using the black paint because it's the easiest color to do this method on. Painting black can be intimidating, mostly because a lot of the ways people end up painting black is either through contrast colors, or they're dry brushing it and the finish looks off. This is why I end up using AK Interactive black paint over just about everything else, because not only is the surface and finish smooth, it's a thick enough pigment that really nothing underneath a singular coat will show through. So the way I end up painting black is really just reverse highlighting. Add in my bright highlights at the edge of the armor, add in my thicker kind of mid-tone highlights, and then just paint black into the broader areas so it can end up looking a lot more smooth and sharp. I will admit I did kind of jump around with the painting stuff in this video, mostly because painting the silver stuff is not that interesting. However, I did make sure to base coat the pauldron and the kneecap using a little bit of Caliban green, so I could smoothly add in my regular light green from Vallejo model color once the time comes. If you remember for the rest of my series, I go for a bit of a gritty look with my greens, so I like to add in the color before the final wash. However, to contrast this ruddy color scheme, I decided to use a mixture of Vallejo model color gold with a little bit of their true metallic metal color aged metal. That doesn't mean I won't weather this down a little bit, but I want the Crozius to be a center point on the model because, well, it's one of the most important aspects of a Chaplain. This color in particular will contrast really nicely with the green too, and since my Sons of Medusa always have a little bit of an orange tint with rust in the corners and recesses, we can further this by utilizing some oxidization inside the Crozius to just contrast a little bit more. Once I was happy with the overall color of the Crozius and all the other metals, I decided to base coat the helmet using a mixture of Payne's Gray and Bone Color from Proacryl. Now initially I was going to paint the helmet a little bit more white bone, purely to kind of keep in line with the Sons of Medusa color scheme, that being the white helmets. I ended up sketching on some highlights using dark ivory, and after applying the wash that was supposed to be a little bit more subtle, this being archaic sepia from Tooth and Coats, and I'll admit, because it was already so bright and established and it just looked like real bone, I didn't really want to fuss with it. So I went with it. I did clean it up a little bit, as you'll see in between shots, mostly just kind of wicking away the excess, but once it dries, I'm left with almost a nice warm cheesy yellow tone. So I decided to sketch on some highlights to bring it back a little bit further to a bone color, and I'm utilizing a little bit more dark ivory from the Proacryl series. It starts a little blurry, but once I kind of zoom in a little bit more, you can see just how much it looks like actual traditional bone with these sketchy highlights, mostly adding in plenty of cracks and focusing a little bit more on the harsher details of the skull, primarily the brow bone and the cheekbones. Again, it probably would have been more thematic to give him a white skull helmet, but it is what it is. I didn't really want to redo this. I think it looks fine as is, and with the actual highlights kind of bringing it more to a traditional neutral-ish tone, it's still definitely warm, but at the same time, fussing with it probably wouldn't be worth the effort. So if it looks good here, I might as well leave it and just move on to the next step. That next step being a nice few healthy layers of light green from Vallejo model color. I'm so used to spraying this over my Marines that it does feel a little bit scary to just paint it on by brush, but after a few coats it looks just fine, and since I weather these guys so much, a little nick here and there isn't gonna really affect anything. Also, kind of a fun little thing if you're into Sons of Medusa. Sons of Medusa usually have their clan symbol on their knee pad, which is usually painted black. But since the rest of this guy's armor is black, I decided to paint it green instead. Not only is this just a cute little detail, it also actually gives him a little bit of green to stand out if you're looking at him from the front side. Otherwise, there's no color indication to what chapter this guy belongs to, mostly because the pauldron is facing the other way. Speaking of decals, I ended up actually just applying these very simply using some mark fits and a makeup sponge. I also decided to add in the aged gold to the trim of the pauldrons as well, which, I don't know, it just makes sense. But once the decals were fully in place, I would varnish the model using satin varnish, and once it dried, I would add on a healthy amount of dark rust wash from AK Interactive Washes. This is an enamel wash. Normally, I just airbrush over the model using this paint. However, I wanted to be a lot more selective with this as I don't want to get this all over some of the gold areas, and I didn't really want to add this onto the skull helmet too much. I think the painting already looks plenty fine on the skull, so I didn't really want to fuss with it. After picking out everything I wanted to be kind of toned down by this paint, I would dab on a little bit of white spirit and I would wipe away the excess, leaving that signature orangey oxide tone in the recesses of the model that the rest of my army actually has. I didn't really want to make this guy seem too far removed from the rest of the army, hence why I added in this wash. And I did want to keep it a little bit more select, just because, well, again, I don't want it to be overbearing. However, for the Crozius and the gold elements, I decided to add in a different enamel, this being Decay of Death from the Villainy ink sets. This is definitely a little bit more green than I probably would have liked, so I decided to add in a little bit of turquoise to tone it more to an oxide look. It does look like I'm going really heavy with this in the application, but I assure you I wiped away a lot of the excess, primarily just keeping this in the undersides of each individual feather. I did go a little heavier with this on the pauldron, but, you know, just to kind of bring out the eyes more. Speaking of eyes, I decided to add in one final detail, that being a little ball bearing in the eye socket of the skull helmet, to which I would paint black and add a little bit of gloss varnish. And with that final detail finished, holy shit is this guy cool. You know, initially I was reserved on using the third-party Tortuga Bay bits, purely because they're a lot more to scale with a mixture between Firstborn and Primaris, mostly because my army is primarily consisting of old Firstborn to Horus Heresy-sized Space Marines, but I think with a character model like this, it works. But not just because he's a character model, but because of the chapter I'm running. Considering that the Sons of Medusa's fervor for weird technological nonsense is just as potent, if not even stronger, than their progenitor chapter, it would not be out of the question for them to have Space Marines with all different shapes and sizes due to the ongoing technological advancements that they're adding to their armor. And really, at the end of the day, I just wanted to paint a Chaplain. But this won't be the last you'll see of the Sons of Medusa Army project. I definitely have a lot more planned. In fact, the channel members actually voted for a Stern Guard squad, and I probably should have done that first before this, but I kitbashed it fast, painted it fast, so this one arrived first. Sorry about that. But if you have any other ideas for what you want to see in this army, I'm open to all sorts of different ideas. But I'm definitely flapping my beak enough for one video. So if you enjoyed this, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, share it with a friend, and remember to mishmash, kitbash, and paint some fantastic miniatures. And you're gonna. I promise. See ya.